Hey, everybody, I'm Captain Tommy Scoble, and you're on the lifeboat, and we're here a little early. And we're here for Karen Spidey Sense. Karen, how you doing? We're firing this thing up a little bit early so that what you're talking about doesn't get lost in the conversation because it's pretty damn important. So we're going to talk to you. You're doing fantastic. You just don't think you are. When you say, I just got to hang out in my house because if I'm here, I'm not going to be around anybody. I just got to make sure that I'm not near anybody that's going to use. Do you realize that is exactly what keeps everybody sober? I'm sorry. In the beginning, that's it. It's exactly what keeps you sober. It's that I'm not going anywhere near anything that can mess me up. I was when I first kicked, it was not nearly as difficult as it was a little bit later down the road. Would you just go let her know where we are? Sorry, the cat is just on one. I got to tell you my cat theory here in a minute. But when I first started, I was locked in a box. There was nobody that could get at me. It was pretty damn easy. I mean, it was miserable in the head, but it was pretty damn easy because there was no shot whatsoever. You know, I couldn't even get out of the box to go get stuff. When they dropped me on the yard, when I went to the next spot, it was hell. It was absolutely hell. And it was white knuckle. And this was, the first yard was pre-Q. I caught Q on the next yard. But I was trying to be sober. I was failing miserably. I was not doing a very good job of it, but I was sure as hell attempting it. And the thought of, I'm doing bad at this. There's nobody in recovery that ever went, you know what? I'm doing great. I'm killing this. In the first 3 months, there's nobody that ever went, boy, I'm doing a good job at this recovery thing. Nobody knows what a good job at this recovery thing is. But if you have not put chemicals in your body, Karen, you're killing it, right? You're killing it. If you continue to plug into people and say the things you're saying, right? When you said, can I rant? I should freaking hope so. Karen, you need to rant, right? The reason we're drug addicts is because we don't rant. The reason we're drug addicts is because when things bum us out, we go like this and we hold it inside and it begins to eat its way out. And I promise you it will get out. It will. It will tear a hole in you that big on the way out, but it will get out. The other option is you let it come out the mouth, right? The other option is you let it come out the mouth. If it does not come out your mouth in the form of communication, it will come out some other part of your body when it tears a hole in you. Believe it. So coming here and saying things like, I don't think I'm doing a good job is a really good job. Coming here and saying I'm hurting, I don't know how I'm going to get through today. That's a really good thing. It really is. You're going to hear other people say stuff like, I did the exact same thing and I felt the exact same way. You think you're unique, right? All of us think we're unique because we don't have any other point of reference to go on. And we got to think to ourselves, everybody, look, I'm a drug addict, right? But I'm not like other drug addicts. I'll kiss your ass if you haven't had that thought. I'm sorry. There's nobody here that hasn't had that thought. I know I'm addicted to alcohol, but I'm not like alcoholics, like those people. I'm different than those people. No, you're not. I assure you. No, you're completely different because you're you. But your disease, yeah, it affects everybody differently, but it affects everybody the exact same way at the exact same time, right? It's confusing. 1989 was my best and worst year. That's why all this lurking has paid off. Well, you know what? Lurking is a good thing, Karen. It really is. There's nothing wrong with lurking, especially in the beginning. But when you start to let stuff out of that, hello, Gladys Q. Kravitz. Good to see you. And it's perfect just peeking in. Do you see the avatar? She's literally just peeking in. Karen, we're glad you're here. I mean that. Happy enough to fire up the show a few minutes early, right? Because I do have a rant, but the last thing in the world I wanted to do was go off on that rant. If you're having a bad morning, we'd like to talk more about that than anything else. Yeah, help from above. Did I get that name right? Look, this is a reframing of things that other people have said. I've never actually heard it put that way other than me, but it's the exact truth, right? It's going to come out of you. It's going to come out of you one way or the other. It's going to come out of you through your mouth via communication, or it's going to tear a hole in you in some other part of you. It is. And every single day I meet people who have holes in them. Scream therapy is fantastic. You know what? Scream therapy right now is not just something that I'm using. It is the way that I am kicking my heart out when it's out of sinus rhythm. I have found I can get my heart back into sinus rhythm by screaming. Crazy, right?
Is it screaming or trying to get angry, trying to get the emotion up?
Johnny just asked if it's just the screaming or if it's the emotion. I don't know, to be honest. When the time that it's been bad where it kicked up, I went outside and I did kind of recreate the scene at the hospital, but I think a lot of it had to do with like gritting your teeth and sort of letting a scream go. Karen, I hope you're not numbing it with anything. That sounds bad. I mean, if you're going to get loaded, please be careful, right? Again, not anti-drug. If you're not ready to quit, that's great, but please be careful. That's always a frightening thing when someone says they're going to numb their brain, It scares the hell out of me because I spent 3 decades doing it. Karen, we're here and we're always going to be here. I promise you that. And I'm really happy that you found the boat. And you can lurk till the end of time. There are people that have lurked for a year before something made them say, I don't want to do this anymore. And here's the speech we used to give back in the day. And I think it's been a really long time since we gave it. Honestly, I don't remember the last time I've said this from the mic. But what we used to say was this: if you're coming here and you're still using, listen, best of luck. We welcome you. We love you. And we're going to pray for you. Hold your hand until you're ready to quit. At which point we will pray for you, hold your hand, right? And stick by you until you quit. We don't want people leaving because they're still using. It's the dumbest thing in the entire world. Okay, good. Then whatever you're numbing, I hope it's a, get a cheeseburger, get something that's, get some comfort food. That just scared me. Harm reduction is a good thing. No question. Harm reduction is a good thing. If I have a friend that's trying to kick heroin, right, and I have the opportunity to go over there as a sober individual and try to help that person quit, I'm bringing 4 pounds of chocolate. I'm not kidding you. I'm bringing enough chocolate because your brain for a very brief period of time can't tell the difference between chocolate and heroin. I swear to God, that's the truth. You can find places where they will video a person and you can see their pupils dilate. A heroin addict, not normal folk, but a heroin addict. The same sensors in the brain that deal with chocolate deal with heroin. And you take that first bite, especially if it's dark, you take that first bite of dark chocolate and your brain goes, oh my God, he fixed. And the pupils start to do the, dilate, get down into the smaller size. It looks like you did a shot. And then your brain goes, what the hell is this? But there are jails that will give it out to addicts, people who are especially opiate addicts. After years of pain and begging from the age of 11, my mother said she went to a psychiatrist who said, nothing wrong with you. She ended up helping the help with her marriage. All the lies, helping with the help with her marriage. You know what? It's a painful thing because we suffer in a way that is unique to anything else in the medical community. You break your freaking leg, come on in, we'll set it, we'll put a cast on it, we'll send you home. 6 weeks later, we'll cut that cast off. Your leg will be a little small. We're going to give you a regimen of what you need to do now. 6 more weeks, you won't know what happened. Right? That's simple shit. You got melanoma. You go in, they cut this stuff out, right? You got something that needs to be removed. These things are kind of cut and dry and they make sense. Even if, we're treating it, it's not working. We're going to take a slightly different approach. You walk in and the problem you're having is between your ears. There's not a test of sorts like they can do for other things, right? And the only way they're going to be able to figure out what's going on with you is if you're any decent with this thing. If you can't communicate, I promise the person, and I'm not saying that's your mom, by the way, but what I'm saying is the doctor might not be able to communicate. It's a dangerous thing because if everybody isn't communicating well on that day, then we're screwed. If you get in there and your doctor if you don't feel like your doctor's got his you-know-what together, walk out. If you don't feel like the two of you communicate and gel, get a different doctor. There are a grip of them in the US, I promise. Get a different one. It's really kind of an important thing, right? That's no joke. If you're not communicating with your doctor, you're in deep trouble. So I think, like for me, I have a team. I have a team of people that that help me, right? That help me stay on an even keel, and that goes from people with a bunch of education, right, to people who just happen to have had a drug problem and got clean and do an excellent job at listening to me, right? That's huge. My best friend, and my brother, and I have a bunch of friends in Australia. For whatever reason, I bonded really well with Australians, and I have a group of people that have my back. But I also have a psychiatrist. I have a psychologist, and then I have a therapist, and I work with all of them. It's a very, very important part of what I do. Even if I didn't do this, but because of what I do, I'd be in really deep trouble if I didn't have a team. Because sorry, but a lot of the things that you people are going through are depressing. And I end up talking about it with a lot of people, right? So, but it's not a science as much as they would like to believe it is. It's just not, right? It can't be. It's so difficult to treat people because you have to know what's wrong. And the only way you're going to know what's wrong is if they are willing and able to communicate what it is that is going on with them. And very often, the nature of the disease tells them not to do that, right? Literally, the thing that you are more messed up, right? My friend Sarah from Boston, when I was in nursing school, I did a rotation on an addiction/psych unit. It was the most eye-opening experience of my entire career. It is the most broken part of the system. You're right, it is. And do you know why it's the most broken part of the system? Because they don't like us. It's hard to blame them, honestly. Not forget all of you. We'll just use me as an example. Look at the symptoms that manifested from my disease, right? I became a criminal. That's not BS. I was doing that stuff. It turned great people I knew really well that were much better human beings than me, and it turned them into criminals. You're going to get that drug. Promise. If you're addicted, you're going to get it, and you're going to get it whatever way you can. That obviously takes on different forms for different people. It's going to sound horrible. I just thank God I'm not a woman, because I know exactly what I would have done, and I would probably still be doing it. Right? The fact that I had to so out there in the world break the law is why I got caught. Right? That's why I got caught. Because what I was doing was robbing banks. That kind of crime gets caught. But if I was able to sleep with a drug dealer, I'd probably still be doing it. Thank God. Right? This is a horrific disease. It's a horrific disease. It really is. And you know what's sad? It requires other people with this horrific disease in order to get well. That sucks. But it's the gospel truth. You want to get right in this? Find a bunch of other people that are wrong who have managed to get right. They'll show you the path to get out of the forest that you are in. Right? Plain and simple. But the people that are in part of the apparatus, right? That is this kind of rehabilitation industry. Make no mistake, it's an industry. If you go into a rehabilitation center and they cure you, right? Air quotes, cure you, and you never need to be treated again, that's fantastic. It's not a great business model. Honestly, the best business model would be if you made it about 24 months and then came back for a little more, right? That's it. Well, Jen Nelson, I appreciate that. That's a very kind thing to say. It is a cool group of people that we've assembled, and I'm going to go on a rant today. I promise. And the rant is for people that find this later. I'm not picking on any of you because the people that really pissed me off are gone. Right? And I'll tell you why. But I'm going to go on a rant, and I think this is probably a pretty good place to dovetail into it. because now we're on to the boat. And what makes this unique and what makes the fact that, I'll be really honest, we're doing pretty well, right? The people that we end up working with are doing pretty well. The people that say, I'm going to quit, are doing a pretty good job. I mean, when you consider 2 out of 10 is the average, we're killing it. We're killing it. It's a cup of coffee, John, coffee. Jelly Roll is incredible. We yesterday, Calhoun and I were going to do a show on it in the afternoon. Something came up that I was unable to do, but we are going to be talking about it today. An amazing job. Went up to the hill and testified that in order to get sober, it has been the experience of everybody that it works well with peer support. In fact, it's the gold standard. This is why even if you pay the people who have facilities to treat you, what do? They put you in a much nicer room with other drug addicts, right? They make sure you're getting 3 really nice meals a day and maybe massages if you're paying enough, right? Beautiful views of lovely parts of California, right? All kinds of great stuff, sushi, but you're just going to be doing group therapy 2 or 3 times a day. I've been to a bunch of them. It's always just more group therapy because this is what works, right? We do it a way that I think opens us up to making it easier for a lot of people. Folks who don't want to jump up and say, hey, I'm so-and-so and I'm addicted to heroin, have a much easier time typing it in, right? Booyah. This is my girl. This is better than a meeting for me. My area has the best drugs in the parking lot. Twice in my life, I got sober, legit. Both times I relapsed in the parking lot of an NA meeting. True story. When I got out this last time, I said to my probation officer, I'm not going to any meetings. He said, you're going to bring me 90 meetings in 90 days. I said, no, I'm not. You can send me back to prison today, and I will go do the remainder of my time without doing any of this paper crap, because I'm not going to step foot in one of those meetings. Not going to happen. And this guy didn't like me from Jump Street before I started talking. First thing he said to me was, you're a real effing piece of shit. That's the first thing this dude said to me. And I said to him, I'm not going to any drug meetings. I've been doing them for the last 2 years. I've read every book you can read on rehab. I am living this, but I'm not going to a freaking meeting. I promise you, I'm not going to a meeting. So I started the lifeboat because I could not relapse in the parking lot, right? If we were doing a meeting this way. So I think this is it's got a lot of benefits, but it's got a lot of drawbacks because a person can show up and be a jackwagon, right? And do it in complete anonymity. Now we got wrenches, we got people to take care of it and stuff like that. Also, there are other issues that we take shots at. I'm never not going to go after the Church of Scientology. It's a friggin' cult that hurts children, right? Systematically destroys lives and families. And I'm going to crap on that cult until it's gone. Okay. Here's what ends up happening. When we go into other arenas, there are drug addicts and alcoholics everywhere we go. I don't care what the audience is, and I don't care what we're talking about. 3% of the audience will have a drug problem bad enough that they need treatment. Minimum. Now, if the channel that I happen to be a guest on is a drug channel, obviously the numbers go up. But in the best of circumstances, if I'm sitting in on a church meeting, 3% of the people in the room are going to need drug treatment. That's pretty much how it works across the board. Right? So it is what it is. We're going to go into these places to try to find people that need help and show them a slightly different approach, a way less judgmental approach. And do you know why we need to do that? Not just because we're trying to help people, but because they are the help for the people that need it. The bigger this boat gets and the more of you show up and actually say, I want to be a part of the solution. I don't want to be a part of the problem. People start reaching out to people within the boat. People within the boat start doing things to help other people. Great example would be the book I held up yesterday from Rick was just, right? Knocked me down. I spent 2 hours crying after I opened that. By the way, we haven't opened anything else yet. We're getting it figured out. It'll never happen again. The people in the mailroom should be keel-hauled. They literally take a sticker you cannot remove and stick it over the top of, but we'll get to that. The point being, people, the ripples that we were talking about, This is the concept, right? When I say I'm looking back from the future, when I say I swear to God, I know where this is going, the concept of this is going to jump the boat. I promise you is. It's going to jump YouTube. This is the wave. And do you know why it's the wave? Because if you take a damn bowstring and you pull it far enough, when you let it go, it doesn't go back to where it started. It goes flying in the opposite direction, right? So people end up rebelling against what their parents are. This has been going on since the dawn of man. So if your parents are ultra conservative, guess what you're going to be? Not ultra conservative, right? Now you say, I agreed with everything my parents said. I'm talking about as a society. I'm not talking about individually, right? We saw it in the 60s. Parents were all conservative. Look at how the kids went. And this kind of crap goes back and forth, always has. Guess what? You know, beer sales are in the toilet. In the toilet. And I don't just mean Bud Light, right? We know something happened there. Beer sales, alcohol sales are in the toilet.
20% down.
20%.
It's shocking. It's a huge number.
20%. You take a 3% hit. You go, what the hell is going on? Their numbers are down 20%. Do you know that there's something called buzz shaming? Are you familiar with this concept? By the way, I hate it, but it's funny. The fact that we have to talk about it is funny. Buzz shaming, like if a person comes on and does a post, I just won the World Series, and they got a beer in their hand, right? People start putting stuff up there, going, "Really? You should have a beer. You know, you need to drink. Is that what celebration means to you?" Look, man, I don't care how anybody celebrates anything, but the fact that people have this attitude, the bowstring has gone shooting by where it used to be. Turn on Family Guy, turn on The Simpsons, turn on whatever. And drug use is a punchline. It's a punchline, right? We laugh about it. Drug use is funny. Yeah, it's funny stuff. Not anymore. And with the number of people who are dying every day in this country, guess what, man? There is going to be a revival. This thing right here has caused people to not talk to one another. Do you know that people don't go to the prom? Do you know that the average kid that gets a driver's license in the United States right now is 18? Man, I was 16, dude. I was tackling people on the way to go get my driver's license because it was the most important thing in the entire world to me. It meant dating. It meant driving to girls' houses. It meant doing all kinds of fun things. This has really done a number on that. And guess what's going to happen? The bowstring is going to fly in the opposite direction. And you know what word you're going to start hearing a crap load of? Connection. I promise. You are going to, my boy is dancing in the studio. You're going to start hearing a hell of a lot more about the word connection. And you know what? We're going to lead it. I swear to God we are. Think I'm an idiot? Watch. I've already seen this happen, people. I promise you I have. You're not going to slide backward, Lacey, but saying what you just said is going to be the reason you don't. I love Lacey. You see this, people? You see this? If you're worried about sliding backwards, let it out of this. Okay? Let it out. Well played, Lacey. Do you know the other number? The other option is it's going to tear a hole in you. So, Lacey, if that starts getting to be more of an issue, you need to continue to let us know, right? I'll tell you something else that is a real bonus. I can't do this on demand, right? But very often, people will say something that's bothering them or hurting them, and we'll just blow off whatever the show is, and we'll talk about it. The beautiful format of the lifeboat is I'm not really tied down to, to what I intended to talk about. If there's something more important, we can always do that. This technically is not my rant. Remember, that person you tell about the lifeboat, you may have really helped their life. They don't brag about a need. That's a really heavy, you don't hear people comfortable talking about how much they're in pain. It's not something people say. I would like to see that change. I would like to live in a world where if somebody says, I'm addicted to drugs, it is not met with any different kind of reaction than I have lupus, right? That's my dream. That's the world I want to live in. I want to live in a world where addiction is treated like a broken leg. And I'm going to tell you what, I'm not going to stop until that happens or I die. There are going to be people along the way who come from other formats. Now, they may be part of the 3% that very badly need drug treatment. They are, I guarantee you, part of the 100% that need connection, right? That need connection. So do me a favor. Let's try to concentrate on that. I have a view on abortion. I'm not going to share it with you. The last thing in the world I want to do is alienate any percentage of my audience. And as it is, you guys like me. So I don't see a point in talking about things that could separate us when everything that I want to do is bring us together. Yeah? This makes sense? Okay. A very big part of what I am doing here is crapping on that cult. And I'm going to continue to do it. You see, people, I have a get out of jail free pass. What they do to get you is they dig through your past and they find that embarrassing nugget of yours and they put it out in public to make you run and hide. Guess what? That's a really hard thing to do to me because I led with that. Hi, how you doing? Let's talk about what a dirtbag I am, because it's kind of my resume, right? I mean, part of the reason you take me seriously is because I've been there and done that, right? That's the theory, and there's probably a little bit of truth to it. But I've not hidden my past, and it kind of puts me in a position where I can throw rocks with a little bit more impunity. So I'm going to do that. And yesterday I made a video with AA Ron's face on it. That's my homeboy, right? That's my dog. He and I have done a lot of videos together, and we are friends. Plain and simple, we're friends. I was super happy for my friend to see that he did an interview with a guy that, whether you like or not, is considered one of the thinkers of our time currently. Sorry, he is. Now, if you hate this guy, please do me a favor. Hate him. Do what you do. What I don't want to do is decide that we're going to divide this audience in half among the people that hate him or the people that like him. We don't need to have that be the point. And if that's what you got, if that was the takeaway, then you're not part of this here, right? You don't get this at all. Not a lick. What we did yesterday was put SPTV into an entirely different tax bracket. You understand? And it doesn't matter if any of them hit subscribe. It doesn't matter if any of them, it doesn't matter if they affect numbers. It takes the message that this cult has to go down and shoves it into a far more mainstream. I'll tell you something. Peterson's audience is a little bummed out. They really are. As far as they're concerned, this isn't something he should have been tackling. It's not highbrow enough for him. It's not enough thinking. See, he has 7 million followers, and a lot of them are Mensa douchebags, right? People that really, fancy their IQ and would like to tell you what it is, right? I'll tell you something about this cat, about Jordan Peterson. You like him or not? Jordan has a unbelievable vocabulary, one of the best I've ever heard, and it transcends a bunch of different subjects. He's not pigeonholed into just what, however, within his genre, which would be, philosophy and things of that nature. You know what, Karen? God help you, hun. You're exactly what I'm talking about. You hope that exposure drives the tax status down? I'm sorry, I misunderstood. I need a drink. Honest to God, people. Karen, I apologize. I had 100 text messages last night that told me I was a scumbag for rejoicing that SPTV has made it onto the Jordan Peterson platform because he hates women. He hates women. If that's your view, Go ahead and have that view. I got news for you. He doesn't hate women. Honest to God, people. I have 1,600 hours of time of me recorded. Go ahead and go through and cull it. You'll find 5 statements that if you put together will make it sound like I hate anything you want me to hate. And I have a 10th of what this man has recorded. Now, I've watched a lot of it. I've read a bunch of it. His wife is a deep thinker. And I assure you would not be married to a misogynist. By the way, you know that that's half of a word, right? I mean, there's another word for women that hate men. Have you ever heard it used? Go ahead and spit it out real quick. I'm sure you know it off the top of your head. Not a word that gets used in our vocabulary at all. But there are women who hate men. And I got some comments from them last night. I promise you. There was a woman that left a comment taking joy in the fact that this man had 2 or 3 years of horrendous physical pain. How can you leave that comment and think I'm going to groove to it? I got news for you. I don't take joy in anybody's suffering. Now, if you bring up Danny Masterson, he's not a human. Sorry. And people that touch kids aren't either. They are not human. I'm talking about humans. And I don't take any joy in humans suffering. Mean people suck is rule 4. Linda, I love that you love Jordan Peterson. And if you hate him, I love you too. Right? But what we're not going to do is scream at each other about it. What we're not going to do is try to divide. And I promise you, people, half the time they're not even real. There are people who don't like us that just would like to get right into the middle of this and see if they can get us talking about gun control and abortion. And what else can we really screw up? Huh? How about the Black Lives Matter stuff? We can take opinions, right? Let's gender. Let's get everything we can get, and we'll divide it so that I got 9 people left I can talk to at the end. You'll agree with every single thing I agree with. Won't that be grand? Huh? Won't that be grand? We'll all agree. I love that a lot of you don't agree with me. And I love the ones that don't agree with me and send me a beautiful explanation of why. There are people who don't like Jordan Peterson who are here listening to me right now because they reached out to me. They did not try to divide and conquer the audience. They didn't try to make their point with a whole bunch of people watching. One said, Tommy, let me tell you why I think you've missed the point with this guy. It was a great letter. I don't agree. And I sent back a very nice letter back to why I disagree. And I'm hoping I get back their response because I think we're learning. Huh? Imagine that concept. I can actually walk away disagreeing with everything you just said and be smarter because of it. No crap. That used to happen all the time. I mean it. Used to happen all the time. Do you know that people used to have debates for fun? No joke. Debate clubs. We had debate clubs. We used to get together and do this. The idea was you learned from the people who disagreed with you. Holy hell, what a concept. Right? What a concept. Now, let me tell you something. It's so much more important than all of that. It's so much more important than all of that. The sad thing is this. They programmed us to hate each other because it didn't happen 30 years ago, right? The relationship 30 years ago between every party that hates each other was better. Explain that to me. Every generation gets more intelligent, then racism should die because that's ignorance, right? I'm sorry. Racism is based in ignorance, 100%. So with every generation, it should start getting less and less and less and less and less, right? It's awful. Even 10 years ago was different. You know what? This is a great point, Karen. You know, there were teams with time for rebuttal. Oh, the times they are a changing. It used to be so much different. It used to be so much different, and it used to be so much better. Right? At the end of it, even if you didn't agree with them, you really did understand them. Right? I'll tell you something right now. The Second Amendment is the greatest example of this, right? Because I could sit here right now for the next 30 minutes and I can argue either part of that argument. And I can argue either part as good as it can be argued. Do you know why? Because they're great points on both sides. The people that can't admit that have an issue. I don't think that there are very many issues on the planet that don't have very serious, solid points on both sides. Guess what? If they don't, I'll bet you I'm fighting them. You'll probably hear about it. If there's not something really good that you can say about them, chances are I'll be doing a video about it. Right? Cue your favorite Lafayette Ron Hubbard joke right here. Karen, it's crazy, isn't it? Now, the good news is this. The good news is we don't have to do it. The good news is we don't have to do it. Disagreeing is cool. There's nothing wrong with disagreeing. There isn't. Now, there are people on this channel that left because they disagree with me. They let me know it. It's okay. I'm not mad at you. I'm not. There are going to be a lot of things that we disagree on. We are. But the thing that I found hysterically funny is when people come and talk about misogyny, right? I don't hate women. I assure you I don't hate women. In fact, I am a great lover of women. I really am. Every last one of them. I find them fascinating. I think that they communicate so much better than men do, right? As a rule, across the board. There are exceptions. But taking sweeping generalizations, women are better communicators. They also tend to be more open when talking about emotion. And because of what I do, if you're not talking about emotion, then it's probably not working very well, right? Because I absolutely need this. You know, I hope someday Kelly Gerling, you're absolutely right. We stopped as a society approaching disagreements with the goal of understanding, and we switched to the goal of winning. Unfortunately, it is such a loss. Yes, and I'll tell you something. We have learned to. Yeah, here you go. There you go. Girls rule and boys drool. Yep, COVID always felt that way, to be honest. I just seem to communicate better with them. People can be plain rude, Lacey. Make no mistake, they absolutely can. And very often you will find people that will say, they will take the angle of, I'm not going to do this, right? I'm not going to get involved in this in any way, shape, or form because I'm never going to do something like that. I want to take the high road. So here's what I will say instead. I will say, honestly, the guy is a reprobate. And I think that every word that has ever come out of his mouth is absolute horse crap. He's a dangerous human being and he's a piece of crap, but you're more than welcome to like him if you'd like. If you think that's cool, then you're not communicating, because what you've just done is fired a shot and then ended it with, but I did this in such a way that you're not even allowed to send one back. I just wanted to fire. I want you to hear my point, but I don't really want to have a debate about this. I don't want to have a discussion about this. I just want you to, no further questions, Your Honor. I'm going to withdraw the question. You understand what I'm saying? We got to do better. We got to do better. Good for you, Karen. I think that, you know what, we try this here. Truthfully, we tried this here. unfortunately, it never works. And I'll tell you why. Because everyone here comes here to listen to myself, whoever I'm interviewing, right? That's what you come here to listen to. However, there's a good sized chunk of you that disagree with so much of what I do. I'm not sure why you're here, right? But that's YouTube. In the old days, we watched television, but we didn't interact with television, right? So now what we do for entertainment is slightly different, and it gives us the opportunity to tell Fonzie he's an asshole, right? We didn't have that growing up, but that's where we're at now. That's where we're at now, and because of the fact that, be careful. There's stuff in there you don't want to touch. I poured. He's digging in the trash to get the piece of paper, and there's stuff in there. Karen, I love to hear that. Karen says, I came here to feel better, and it worked. Well, that's great. You know what? No, my dad never did, Kristen, but I knew a friend whose father absolutely loved to get loaded and talk politics. Do you know what you will find? People will say to you, do you know what pisses me off more than anything? My parents did X, Y, Z. They'll do it. They'll tell you it bothers them, but they'll do it. You see it repeated constantly. My dad discussed politics, but never, I don't think I ever heard my dad rant. He and I had some political discussions, but I think it was more when I was probably from about, I would say 17 to 30. I spent a great deal of time talking to my father about politics, about religion, about sort of all things kind of philosophical. I got into a place in my life where I just kind of wanted to know what he thought about stuff. I really did. I don't know whether it was a drug thing, because I was using pretty heavy at that time, but I lived really close to him. We spent a lot of time together, and I really was into, to kind of picking his brain. My opinion is that the people who yell the loudest are those that are the least informed. You know what? Very often, I think that there's a lot of truth to that statement. However, I think that, the internet has really changed things. It used to be so much more difficult to get somebody to listen to you, right? Being articulate wasn't enough. You had to be able to put yourself into a position where people would listen. We didn't have this, hit record and people might actually start showing up kind of a thing, right? Now what we've done is I'm a convict, right? I'm a bank robber, and I can come on here and start talking, right? I have the ability to say anything, and that is brand new to us, right? I came here out of interest because of AA. Ron stayed for the connection in the community, and because I was struggling, ended up getting sober. How cool is that? The lifeboat really helps. Thanks, peeps. And you know what? You didn't hear Cosmic Christie say, and now I'm a ripple, and I'm actually making things happen, but she is. If you've never gone over to Needing the Meeting, Cosmic's incredible. It really is. If you've never gone over there, that's a ripple, right? And I'll be really honest, I'm not trying to sound like Kurt Cobain, right? But I go over there and lurk on those meetings sometimes, and I think, this is the coolest crap in the whole world. There's like 8 people here. There's like 10 people here. And we did a lot of live feeds here on the boat where there was 10 of us. And I don't mean we did 10 of them. I mean, we did 10 months of them, or we did a year and a half of them or something, and boy, we got to know these people. I freak out, when the really early crew of the boat, if people, I don't do well when people treat them poorly, right? They really are family. I really got to know these people in ways I can't explain, because everybody was sharing. I was learning, and I was bleeding, and everybody here was really cool. What did the grandma say to the grandson when she saw him slouching. You need to pay more attention to my posture. What did the grandma? Cat. Sorry, I missed the whole cat thing. How the hell did I miss the cat? What is the name of the channel? The Lifeboat? Oh, are you talking about Aaron's? Who? Calhoun, do you know what she's talking about? Am I lost? Oh, Jordan Peterson, just Jordan Peterson, probably. I typed in Jordan Peterson and it was there. I don't know if that is exactly what needing a meeting. Thanks, Calhoun. Good God, man. But I really am burnt. You know that? Like I did a lot of damage that I just don't think. I was talking about this with Johnny today. We really you feel that about Atypical Paul. Can we get a link up to Atypical Paul's channel, please? Can I get a wrench to put up a link to Atypical Paul, please? Mary Jones says, people today can't accept to agree to disagree and not get offended. I miss the old days. I want to tell you something. She's kind of on hiatus a little bit right now, but from Degraded Daughters of Dianetics, Vanessa LaRose, she and I agreed on nothing. You want to talk about somebody we sat down and had a conversation about it. And I want to tell you something. We are the best of friends. I mean, truthfully, got huge amounts of love for Vanessa. We don't agree on a lot. We really don't, but it's not an issue. It's not. The things that we agree on, the really important stuff, do you know what the important stuff is? I believe in connection, right? In love, in treating people with kindness, even if they don't deserve it. Right? Not walking by somebody that needs help. I believe in looking instead of walking by, because I spent 46 years not seeing anything. Right? In fact, I went out of my friggin' way to not see anything. Steve Molesky, hang in there, my brother. I bet they woke you for breakfast, but we can get thoughts and prayers for Steve. Steve's got some infection and some other stuff going on with his ticker, and we love Steve. Steve is he's family, people. Wow, this is that's incredible, Ben. I'm blown away by that, and I'm also extremely jealous. Ben Turner says, I feel your pain, Tommy. Blew my brain on math last night. It used to take drugs to hurt my brain. Now math has the same effect. I can't do it. I'm blown away. You were an incredible communicator, Ben. I'm jealous that you can also do math. I traded my ability to do math for the ability to communicate. I really did. Like, the part of my brain that does math doesn't work. It seems to have all gone to the other part of my brain. I can't do it. I can't. If I ever showed you my SAT scores, my SAT scores were pathetic. However, if you realize that I got 300 on the math side of it, you'd go, damn, you got a good score. I'm just not. I can't do math. Atypical Paul, there you are. Atypical Paul, can we put your link up, bud? If you've done it, do it again, please. Yeah, I struggle with math, period, and very often even the use of a calculator can become a problem. Good God, I hope not. I'm sure that there are. Yeah, I guarantee you there are. I don't know where they're at. We didn't let people film. Now, the company that I worked for filmed every single show we did. I don't know what happened to all of those when the feds came in. You know what I mean? I'm sure that all of that by the way, the feds did not come in because of what we did was legal. It was just horrifically unethical. But everything I did when I was doing the speaking and all that, none of that was illegal. It was just, it's a rotten industry that takes advantage of people. It's not illegal, just should be. I do think that Aaron is a good spokesman for the SPTV banner, especially in the format that he was in last night. By the way, I would say this with him here, that I think is his best format. When they have the opportunity to let him answer long form, ask Aaron a question and get out of his way. Right. That's kind of when he's at his best. Have I checked out the anti-MLM corner of YouTube? Do you have any idea how afraid I would be to go into the anti-MLM corner of YouTube, DeAndre Gore? Oh my God. Do you have any idea how scared I would be to go anywhere near there? Yeah. Just being really honest, people. I would imagine that they would like to kill me as soon as if I were to arrive there. I can't imagine I would be treated very well. I am a person that, yeah, I'm the bad guy in that scenario. I wasn't the guy that was getting abused. I was the person abusing people. I'd be willing to interview with him, but I really feel bad about those days. That I struggle really hard with all of that. I really, really struggle with that. I have been able to justify so much of the things that I've done in my life as a victimless thing. None of them are, by the way. There is no such thing as a victimless crime. There are some that look really close to victimless. However, I had it in my head. Like, I had justified things in my head. Like, if I'm robbing a bank, the feds are coming in and giving the money back. Mom didn't lose any money. Grandma didn't lose any money. It's nothing like that, right? And that's as stupid as it is, people. When you're a criminal, you need to do things like this, right? If not, you go insane. So I used to justify the fact that I wasn't hurting anybody. But in network marketing, I hurt a bunch of people, right? I signed up. I just can't even begin to tell you thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people that I enrolled into that garbage. It's a terrible industry. I'm sorry it is. Now, are there legit network marketing companies that deliver legit products? There are. However, they still have to deliver them at a price big enough to pay out 7 levels at a minimum, 6 levels, depending if it's a stair-step breakaway, depending on the pay plan, you may have to pay it a couple of pennies to infinity, right? So they have to put a very large price tag on things that cost very little. It's the only way that you can justify being able to do it. We do amazing amounts of mental gymnastics. Good God, do we? I don't know if I've ever told this story, but I will. It is exactly like a pyramid scheme. So I was doing one of these said pyramid schemes, and I didn't know what I was doing. I'd never done anything like this. I was not a public speaker. I was a drug addict. I was a skier. This was my first foray into anything. So I ran an ad in a newspaper and thought 100 people will show up and I'll just go talk to them. Well, 4 people showed up, and I did a meeting for, it was either 4 or 6. But I said to the people, if you bring 2 people to the next meeting, I will lock the doors. I will not leave until these people sign up. Within a couple of months, we were doing meetings, my brother and I, we were doing meetings of 850 people a couple of times a week. It just blew up really, really quickly. And at this point, I honestly don't realize I don't understand anything about it. Like, I don't even understand how I'm getting paid. You understand? Like, the pay plans don't make sense. None of it does. I don't know that there's a whole industry. I just thought this company had a great idea. I knew nothing about it. But I'm on stage doing my little presentation. And there were 2 guys in the back of the room. And one's got his shirt off and he's rubbing his nipples, like got his shirt up, just acting as dumb as anything you could ever see. And I thought, what the hell is this? And one of the guys, and I'll tell you his name because he's no longer with us in the theory, but his name was Rex. And he came up and pulled out a wad of money that was in a circle like you see in movies. It was just $100 bills, just around. And he pulled it out and he looked at it like hefting it. And he goes, I'll give you $5,000 if you sit down and listen to my pitch. I want you to come work for me. I said, I work for myself. I dig this. That's what he said first. I'd like you to come to work for me as a speaker. I said, nah, I work for myself, man. I don't need a boss. I said, you don't know what I'm making. I'm making good money doing this, because I didn't know what a public speaker made. I'm like, I'm making good money doing this, man. I don't want a job. It's the last thing I want. And he took out this wad of cash and said, I'll give you $5,000 if you just listen to the pitch. He said, it won't take more than 15, 20 minutes. So I texted the wife, said, I'm not coming home yet. And you know what? That dramatically changed the trajectory of my life. I started working as a public speaker within about 5 days of that meeting. I continued to do MLM. But what I did was, when we would be done speaking and everybody's getting ready to leave, I would come back out and I'd go, hey, I got one more deal I'd like you guys to hear about. This is mine. It's got nothing to do with the people that put this on, nothing. This is my deal. And it's just ridiculous. I mean, we were doing like 20 grand a week. No lie. We were just making so much money. And again, I don't know there's an industry. I don't know anything about it. It had a really cool product, right? You could surf the internet. And at that point, 4% of the country was on the internet. I had a little computer. I didn't know that there was all this other crap out there. But when it went out of business, right? A Scientologist, an OT8 Scientologist, called me on the phone because I was working with him. This is how I met all the Scientologists, was through MLM. So this guy called me on the phone and said, how are you doing? I said, how am I doing? You know, I got my paycheck yesterday and it was $13. I thought it was going to be $27,000. So yeah, I'm a little bummed out, right? But he said, no, man, this isn't the deal. The deal is the industry. MLM, that's the industry. You know, this was just one company. He's like, this is the 9th I've done, or the 10th I've done. I was like, what? I'm sorry, what? And he's like, yeah, man, you never heard of Amway? Like, that's the biggest one. I'm like, no, I've never heard of Amway. I've never heard of any of that crap. Now, as I started to learn about it, I had flashbacks to being a kid. Like, I remember being in this person's house as a child and remembering that they had a room full of soap, you know, like shampoos and bottles, and didn't make any sense to me. I remember looking at this thinking, good God, these people have got more. These people have got more soap and shampoo in Grand Rapids, Michigan, the DeVos family. You should see the size of the airport that Amway has. It is a very, very, very vicious company. It is the largest privately held company on earth, or at least it was the last time I ranted about this. Absolutely. Nancy, I do. I'm your guy, actually. And Nancy says, I'm losing my mind. I can't keep up with bills and insurance and blah, blah. With the house I don't own yet since mom died. Plus, I need to mourn. Everyone is sending scary letters. No family ideas. Anytime I get overwhelmed, and this is overwhelming. In fact, this is the worst overwhelming in the world, because on top of, please, yeah, can we get some thoughts and prayers? And you know what, people? Do it. Sorry, do it, right? Pray for people. Send positive vibes. It's easy to toss up a 1. Actually, take the time. Believe it or not, cool things happen when you pray. You don't have to believe in God. Just you can go do the research, right? Prayer works. There's tons of science to back it up. That does not prove God exists, but there is a lot of science to back up that prayer does wonderful things. So if we could pray for Nancy, that would be great. Thanks all. I don't care what God you pray to, by the way, so don't hate me. Nancy, anytime I start to get into these situations, get out a pen and a piece of paper, right? And sit down. And what we need to do is start from back to forward. There are going to be bills that are in arrears, right? These are the ones that are the latest of bills. These are the things that you need to worry about the most. If a bill is not yet late, it's going to be about 3 to 6 months before anyone starts really pissing and moaning about it. So let's get to the 3 to 6 months ones that are already in arrears, and let's get that taken care of before we do anything else, right? And this is going to sound stupid, but you need to schedule time to mourn. If you're going to take time to sit down and go through the bills and do all that, take at least twice as much time to say, I'm not doing anything. I'm turning crap off. I'm not taking phone calls, right? From bill collectors or anybody else. And by the way, Bill collectors are scumbags, and very often they're just people like me, right? They're cutthroat drug addicts who make money by trying to get people to pay on things that I promise you they gave up on long ago, right? By the time something has gotten to a bill collector, they're paying pennies on the dollar for your debt. It's an industry. So when the person picks up the phone, I have done this. I promise you. Didn't do it long. I hated it, but I have worked as a bill collector. I made it less than a week. But you know what froze me in my tracks every single time? Two things. If somebody said, you know what, I was diagnosed with, I don't care what the hell they told me, I would go, I'm so sorry. Have a great day. What are you going to say to somebody? Right? I'm not going after somebody that just got diagnosed with anything. And I was a dirtbag. That one freezes bill collectors. The other one that will do it is the truth. You know what? Just had a death. The reason I'm not the person you're calling about. It was my mother, and I'm taking care of all of this. I don't want to hear from you guys for a week. I'm putting all of this together. Talk to them like this, right? If you tell these people, look, man, yeah, you know what? Seventh makes a good point too. If you do not want the home, that's a completely different scenario, right? There are places that can come in. With those places, you're going to get about 80% of market value, right? Because these people have to make a living. But if you do one of those like short sale fast deals, they usually pay about 80% of market, and you can get out of all of it. And you know what? If it were me, right? I don't know the situation, but if it was me, I don't get attached the way I used to, right? To the memories and the things. You know what? There's a great song by John Prine called Souvenirs. And it talks about how the most important things in his life all ended up in pawn shops. Get to a point where you're like, you know what, F it, I don't care anymore. All of those things don't mean squat. You know, it means things, connection, for real. Now, I got my dad's watch, and I promise you, a thief would have to shoot me to get it off my wrist. But there are very few things in my life I care about like that. And the only reason I care about that one is because of what it is, you know, but very few things I care about. Good info. You're going to sell the house to a neighbor? Good for you. That's fantastic. Then do that quickly. Let's get out from under that rascal so that you don't have to worry about bills for a house that isn't going to be yours. And if this neighbor is cool, maybe sit down and talk to them. You know, there's a whole host of bills that go along with this house. I want to get this thing done. You know what I mean? I'm mourning the loss of my mom. This is stressing me out. I don't have family. Since you intend to take this house, why don't we start working on this so that I can get back to mourning? Let's get this knocked out, right? Now, in a perfect world, you're not going to touch any of this until the mourning process is good and along. But if they're beating on the door, you know, if they're ringing you off the hook, that's a little bit different. Because truthfully, Karen, what you should be doing is just dealing with. I'm not Karen. I'm sorry. I looked up. We had a different comment. Nancy, you really need to make sure that you're taking time. I can't imagine. I really can't. The good news is, truthfully, you are not alone. There are a lot of people here that have gone through very similar things, right? That's so cool, man. Question. I watched your video on improving your credit score. I hope you will do more content like that. It was very insightful and I learned a lot. I might do some more like that. I'll be honest with you. I get crucified every time I do. What happens is the people that come out of the woodwork that want to call me a scumbag and then tell all of you that I'm a con man because of the things that I've done in my past. When people show up here and they just get to the boat, you know, it's very feasible that I have an audience that has been watching for a month who sometimes don't know that I've been to prison, right? Depending on where you catch me in the, in my discussions, it's very easy for you to not have a real good idea of who I am. I ripped off a lot of people. I did infomercials. I did public speaking stuff. I was not a good human being, and I've been very open about it. But when I do videos like that, they end up on feeds and a whole new batch of haters. But you know what? I'll do one. I will. Maybe I'll do a live and we'll talk about it because it draws a lot less crap than but we'll figure something out. Rick, thank you. This is a great comment. I really like this. The important thing to remember here, people, is that I am not the lifeboat. That's the truth. I mean, I'm cool as hell. I mean, I'm a lot of fun, whatever, but I'm not the boat. I promise. Calhoun's not the boat, right? and Calhoun's kid won't be the boat. We're going to keep this thing going as long as we possibly can. We are. I'm going to, why would I get crucified for information? It's insane. Shannon, this is so hard. This is why it's so much fun to talk to Reese, and it's so much fun to talk to Aaron, and why a lot of creators end up hanging out and talking to creators, because we look like losers when we talk to real people, right? You know, people think you sit in front of a camera and talk for a living. I don't want to hear about your problems, right? The truth of the matter is there are a whole unique set of problems when you do this for a living. And one of them is there are people out there for whom being cruel fills a need, right? It fills a need. So they're getting something from writing messages. And very often they're getting interaction, right? I don't respond to them. I'm not going to sit and go back and forth. I'm not making videos to talk trash about people who made videos about me. I'm not here for that. I don't have any time for that BS, right? I am a content creator in that I'm trying to help people get sober. The content I create in one way or another is always trying to help people attack things in their life that they're unhappy with, to live their best life, whether that has something to do with drugs or anything else, right? It's slightly different, but people will, at 1,300 subscribers, when we had 1,300 subscribers, 4 guys popped up that said, we're going to destroy this channel. I'm not even being funny. Like, they made a video called, we're going to destroy this channel. You won't get to 1,400, I think was the name of the video, or some such crap. And they have done everything within their power since. I've never met them. Their beef was, I call addiction a disease. Can you imagine the audacity, the utter contempt I have for drug addicts to call addiction a disease? That's literally what started it, by the way. But yeah, literal science. Well, it is now, for a long time, right? Good luck with that, clowns. Well, here's the really funny thing, Susie Q. At that time, we had the same size channels. I didn't answer the hate. I didn't play any of those games. I just kept doing what I do. And we're just going to keep doing that forever. By the way, they have less subscribers today than they had then. It's really funny that, people say hate sells. No, it doesn't. It makes people look, but it doesn't sell. You're not going to keep people for an hour and a half hating. Try it. Doesn't work. It just doesn't. There's no connection when there's hate. Do I have any videos of the infomercial I did? Good Lord. You know what? I'll put a clip up. I will find a clip and I will run it. Because the truth of the matter is, I'm sure you could find it. And it's just, again, you know what happens? You will find it funny. All of you will watch it and go, you know what? That was when Tommy was a dirtbag. But there are a group of people who will make videos about it. And those videos will be made for the people that have never seen me. And they're going to see a thumbnail that says, Captain Tommy, we found hidden infomercial that proves who he is. Now, the first time you come across me, it's on that guy's channel. And he says, he's over there telling them what a great guy he is and how he gets people sober and this and that. Let me show you what he really is. Now, I've told all you that, right? But nobody knows that. And herein lies the problem. Mischief Managed says, last night I had a fleeting thought of ending it all. So I journaled about it. Good for you. Today, I did my shopping and I gave a stranded lady a ride home. How kind. I love that. You've had a huge impact. Thank you. Thank you, Mischief. I appreciate that. You know what, people? Tell me what you felt, right? You don't have to say it out loud, but tell me what you felt when I said I had a fleeting thought of ending it all. What was your first thought? You don't have to type it, but think it. What was the first thing you thought when you heard me say, comment, last night, I had a fleeting thought of ending it all? Because I promise you, people who are being really honest are going to tell you that made them uncomfortable as hell, right? If somebody says, I was thinking of unaliving myself, right? It is the ultimate in discomfort. There is nothing that somebody can say that makes people more jumpy. Thank you, Pebbles. And thank you, everybody who said, I've thought that, right? I've thought that. I have. There's nothing. It doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you defective, right? The fact that you said it out loud is huge, Mischief Managed. It's huge, right? What happens if you don't let it come out of your mouth? It's going to find another way out. It's going to tear a hole in you somewhere. I promise this was a really good thing. It really was. This is a really good thing. And not, I had a fleeting thought of ending it all. So, right? The first word of the next sentence. Mischief Managed took action. Right? There wasn't, I sat on the couch. It got worse. I felt it in my stomach too, Debbie Logan. It's exactly where I get it every single time. I have fought to embrace that sentence. I really have. Because what you have to show in your face is compassion, right? When someone says that, as humans, we almost always show disgust. We don't mean to, right? But what you have to show when someone says that is love. It goes against everything because we don't do fear well. And that's frightening, right? It's frightening. It's a lot less frightening when you talk about it. I promise. I'm a lifelong depressive. Ending it all is a common thought. I have 3 things I review in my mind. I call them the mine, you know what? And I have been able to pull myself up. I have 3 things I review in my mind. We call those ants, right? Automatic negative thoughts. If there are 3 and you are recycling them over and over again, right? We call those ants. About 80% of the thoughts that we have during the day, we do not have to think about. They're going to happen regardless, one way or the other. They are automatic thoughts. And the vast majority of those are negative. Sadly, that is the truth. So what we want to do is make sure that, number one, we talk about them. I think that's awesome, especially as someone that has struggled with depression for life. And I love the fact that you say that too, like, lupus. I want to live in a world where when somebody says that they're depressed, it's no different than, I have lupus. Oh, really? That sucks. But not, oh, you're broken? You're one of those? Crap. It was going so good. Turns out you're a nut. Right? I mean, is that not? Tell the truth. Right? Tell the truth. If you got somebody coming over for the first time, would you leave your psych meds on the sink in the bathroom? Probably hide those, wouldn't you? I would. Sad. We need to get to a place where, right? It's no different than, I'm on insulin. I don't know if that's going to happen. I would really like it to. I really would. And you know what, people? We can disagree with one another. I don't have any problem with us disagreeing with one another. But you know what? Talking about people who think occasionally about unaliving themselves or struggling with depression or things that are severe enough, addiction, whatever, that are severe enough to make you feel like not continuing on, right? How important is it? Whether or not someone who got interviewed is agreeing with you on all of the important things that you think are correct. Seems a little less of a big deal, does it not? Lisa, I love that. I love that. The not yet. I like to think about the not yets that will happen if I go back. Lisa, I like to think about, when I read not yets, I didn't keep reading until when it finished. That wasn't what I thought it was going to say. I thought you were going to say, I like to think about the not yets that are going to happen if you don't go back, right? Think about all of the cool crap that's going to happen to you in the next 10, 20, whatever years because you're not on drugs. Those are the Those are the not yets, right? There's some really cool stuff that's going to happen. My life has been a scratch off lottery ticket since I got sober. I promise you. Every single day, I do not know what's going to happen when I scratch that puppy off. And that is so exciting. It really is. You know, today I could be doing nothing, or I could be talking to somebody who recently interviewed a president, right? There's just no telling what the day might bring. And that's exciting. Drugs weren't. So funny too, because when you're a kid, you think they're exciting, they're sexy, like all the things you think drugs are. Holy crap. You know, they're the anti-connection. They are the anti-connection. There are 40 people sitting in a room. You know what, Karen? I'm happy that you said that out loud, but it's not gonna. And I'm glad that you are here. Truthfully, I am. And I love survivors. I really do. I don't talk about my medical file, but I've survived a few things, and I love people that are survivors. And you know what, Karen? You're not just going to survive the addiction thing. It's not what we're here for. I promise. One of the first times I ever did a show here, I got so much crap for this. And I've said it before. And I know that when I say it now, I'm going to watch my son like grab his hat, start scratching his head, shaking his head back and forth. He might even fire off a text that says, Dad. But if you're going to live your life in misery, then there's no point in getting sober. That's not what we preach, right? I promise you, I'm happier today than I ever was using drugs. There was never a time in my life that I was happier on drugs than I am sober. I mean, 4 minutes? Yeah. Not the following morning. You know, there was not a full day. You get a little spurts. I mean, feeling high is a lovely feeling. Boy, oh boy, it doesn't cost the $80 that the gram cost. If that was it, if the only cost was that, holy hell.
Right. Think of expense has nothing to do with the money you spend.
No, I mean,
This is so much more severe.
Put what it really costs. Oh my God, 10% of my life.
Imagine that. That's what drugs cost.
10% of my life. Well, this bag is going to cost you $1 million. Having a grandfather and an uncle that unalived themselves, or something as a teen, when I have those thoughts, it kept me from doing the same thing because I saw the pain that it caused to those around me. I want to tell you something. The problems that make people unalive themselves do not go away when you unalive yourself. All you're doing is bequeathing it to the people that you love. That's it. What are you giving them in your will? All my problems, thanks. And a backpack full of emotional baggage that they can carry around for the rest of their lives. A little bit of blame, a little bit of guilt. What else can we throw in there? You know? For me too, Mary J, it was a stepdad. I'm sorry, Rebecca. I'm sorry. You know what? We all know. I think truthfully, in this day and age, it's hard to not know somebody that's done it. We had a tough year last year. You know, we on the lifeboat, we had a crew member that unalived themselves. It's a bummer, you know, and the problems don't go away. They don't. The person from the boat that unalived themselves, I live with that. For real, I live with that problem, and it makes me doubt myself more than anything else that happens. I promise. When I'm having a really bad night, she's parked on my frontal lobe. For real. And that's the nature of the beast, right? When you unalive yourself, all you're doing is passing on the problems. You're not making them go away. I promise you're not making them go away. You give them to your kids, you give them to your friends, you give them to everybody around. You know what? Taekwondo for Life says, when I was using, I was putting my son through a slow death. Boy, oh boy. Right? Boy, oh boy. There's a lot of truth to that. Brianna Miller, I'm so sorry for your loss. I am so sorry for your loss. Brianna says, I had a brother who took himself from this world 3 years ago. All it did was take his pain and put it on everyone else. And now we're stuck with his life sentence. Brianna, I am so sorry. I am really glad you said that out loud. But I am so sorry that that's happening. And you know what? I'm going to use you as an example. And I'm sorry, but it's just such a perfect example. I have to do this. But you have the right to say, I'm pissed off at the person that did it. Doesn't make you a bad person, right? You have every right to be angry at the person that did it. I absolutely go through that with the person that I know, Noisy Hill, you're 100% right. You're 100% right. It's not my fault. It's not. However, I did read their email late, and that's kind of the nature of what I do, right? But she was gone before I read her email, and that's tough, right? It really is tough. No party year vote. Let's fix the med problem. They are driving them to the streets. Same supplier, just more profit. Tax free. Well, a lot of truth to that. I mean, the amount of money that is being generated by drugs in this country is depressing. Right? We've never ever seen anything like this. We haven't, and now you're paying for the right to die. The drugs that are on the street right now are designed more to kill you than they are to take away feelings of depression or anything else. We had a drug on the street that was killing people 100 a day, and the supplier, in their infinite wisdom, decided to mix in xylazine so that we could bump it up to 300 deaths a day. You don't do that. You don't kill off your client base. It's bad business, right? I dealt drugs for a while. I never tried to kill anybody that I sold drugs to. It didn't make sense. Nancy says, I have been thoroughly miserable in sobriety, but wouldn't pick it up no matter how much. It sucks. I'm a drunk and pills gal. I just want to calm it all down, but it makes it worse. Nancy, the fact that you said that out loud is the first step. You do not have to be miserable in sobriety. You do not have to be miserable in sobriety. I promise you. You can be happy in sobriety. But you know what? I'm going to do a show on it because I don't have enough time, but I promise that's going to be a show. Maybe if I don't do it tonight, I'm going to do it tomorrow morning. But we're going to do a show called Happy in Sobriety because this is damn important. For real. M71 says, thank you for being excited for AA, Ron. As a female, by the way, never knew. As a female, I love listening to Jordan Peterson. He gets it. And Aaron stayed in lockstep with Jordan's great vocabulary. I thought Aaron held his own pretty well. And here's something about Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson gets credit for being one of the great deep thinkers on our planet. And I'll be really honest with you. I love Jordan Peterson. I do. And I love a lot of speakers I don't agree with anything they say on because of how they speak. I agree with a lot of what Jordan Peterson says, but I like Jordan Peterson because of how he delivers what he delivers. That said, make no mistake, he's strutting, right? He goes out of his way to speak in such a way so that he's intelligent. He could dumb down what he does and make it so that a lot more people could understand it.
It's verbal peacock.
Yeah, it is verbal peacocking, to be sure. And you know what? I'm not upset by people that do that either. When I was in prison, I spent a lot of time reading a dictionary. Every once in a while, it's fun to try to, and I mean literally reading a dictionary. That was something that I did. And every once in a while, it's fun to show off. I think he does it constantly. And he does it with every question. And don't get me wrong, I dig it. But I think, man, put down the thesaurus and try to talk to the normal guy every once in a while. And I think it would do a little bit of good for him. But I like him. I really do. Saw a show, Golden Gate Bridge Jump Survivors. When asked, all said, oops, I don't think I should be doing this. I don't know why it makes me smile. Must be a dark humor. I'm smiling too. I don't know. That's really odd, but I'll be honest.
We make light of the uncomfortable.
We do. We do. We make light of the uncomfortable. Rhonda, I hope you still like me, but I'll understand if you don't. There are a lot of people that, if you, yeah. Jennifer, did anyone see catch Jelly Roll speaking to the Hill about how he used to sell and use drugs, but now he's using his celebrity status to help addicts and their families? I did. I saw his testimony up there, and I thought it was excellent. There was, I thought the delivery was great. I thought almost everything was perfect. Some of the facts were not. That's okay. I mean, it is what it is. Some of the facts that he spit out were low, but he got the point across. The fact that he is there and doing what he does, that's good enough for me, man. It really is. We really are losing over 300 people a day. We're not losing, 90 or somewhere close to that. The math is insane. It really is. It's insane. It takes a lot of guts to stand up and say, I was a scumbag. I took advantage of society. I was the worst of what was out there. That's not an easy thing to do. And to do it, he doesn't have to do it. He has a very, very comfortable life if he just wants to live it. He doesn't need to put himself out there. He doesn't need to have, there's a segment of his audience that are not going to forgive him for what he did yesterday. I promise. Trust me on this one. I know what I'm talking about. There are people who are going to hate him because he talked to Congress. There are going to be people who hate him because he admitted he was a drug dealer. There are going to be people who hate him. And he didn't need to have that happen. So to go and do what he did, I got mad respect for him. I love that. I absolutely love that. 90 is still insane, right? I agree with you 100%. That's bad enough. If it was 90, it sucked when it was 90, but it's considerably more than that. It is considerably more than that. And it's going to keep getting worse. And you know what's even more sad? Currently, they're doing everything they can to fudge those stats. I promise. They're doing everything they can to downplay the statistics. You realize that if you nod out at the steering wheel and die, that's not a drug overdose, right? If you fall off a balcony, nod it out. It happened 2 days ago. That's not going to do it, right? That's not an overdose either. So I promise you, there are a hell of a lot more overdose deaths than you can imagine. All right. It is what it is. Right. It is what it is. So that is the end of the show, peeps. I have gotten to that part, actually ran a little bit long. We've done that a couple of days, if I'm in the middle of one, we came on a little early because I wanted to talk to somebody and we stayed a little late, but it's all good. Alan Watts is similar to Jordan Peterson. I am familiar with Alan Watts. Yes. This is a cat in a basket. She's loafing. What a beautiful kitty. She's sometimes a little bit tough. Okay, so here's my cat theory. Here is my cat theory, right? I think that cats got here second. I think that dogs arrived first, right? So that by the time cats got here from outer space or from wherever they came from to take over and run the planet, the dogs already had this man's best friend thing all sewed up, right? So cats decided that when they got here, as opposed to trying to be man's best friend, they were going to try to be man. I think this cat is doing everything that she can to try to be a human. That does include trying to talk, which sadly.
I'll tell you what, last night was something.
The last 2 nights,
We're all bad.
I know you're going to think I'm kidding, but when I tell you that she meowed 1,000 times last night, would I be exaggerating?
No,
You have no clue. This cat goes like this: meow, 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 meow. Now it just does not stop. Right now, if I go like this, if I give it a background noise at all, she will not meow over a background noise.
metronome.
Do you have any idea? We need to buy a metronome. We need to buy one today. You know what will happen? I'll go nuts listening to the metronome. That thing will drive me crazy. Yeah, she did it again. Oh, here's the great question, right? This is so funny because I get this question all of the time, actually. Diary of a Ditch Witch. I get this question all of the time. How is the cat always in the basket? We glue her in there, right? It might.
I had this on my phone. It's a metronome.
I could stare at that and probably get mesmerized. It is the coolest thing I have ever seen. It really is. That is the coolest thing I've ever seen. We tie her little feet down to it. I'm kidding. You know what it is? When I start talking, she will go and go all over the house nonstop the second I start talking. So we were in here today at about 5 o'clock in the morning, 4:45, something like that. And Johnny goes, just start talking, do the show, sit down and start talking. And I'm like, man, I'm not gonna talk for an hour before the lifeboat goes live just so the cat will shut up. But once I start talking, she comes, gets in the chair, and she goes to sleep. She could, maybe she senses something is amiss. She might. I think what it really is, she likes to be on the other side of that door. And it doesn't matter what side of the door. You understand? Because if I do let her out, she instantly would like to be on the in. We let her outside after she cries about it all day, and she puts her feet up and looks in the door. Like, what, cats are just, they're fantastic. She does love Daddy's voice. There's no question. Diary of a Ditch Witch says, my cat sees a camera and runs the other way. Well, do you know something? Look, he jumps on on the shoulder, right? She jumps on the shoulder to get into the basket, which means she's doing that solely for the entertainment of everybody here on the boat. It's not the convenient way to get there, right? It is the highest jump to get into that basket, but it's directly on camera. I'm telling you, Squirrel gets it. She is incredibly clever. Sarah, are you an Aussie just out of curiosity? I'm just curious. All of my Aussie friends say clever a lot. Photo bombing cat. No, but I had a dog that was a Chiweenie, and she was in every single photo I took. For real. It was incredible. That is a good bird. How's that? Karen says, I have a bird. He just wants to sit on my shoulder, but he doesn't poop on my back. Win-win. If you have a bird that's not pooping on you, that's a win. I'll tell you, Squirrel is an incredibly smart pussycat. She really is. She has me trained in ways you can't imagine. But she's the love of my life. She really is. She has never, ever said anything mean to me. Do you know that? Cat has never once said anything mean to me.
She said a few things to me.
About me when I was out of town? That's all right. I don't even want to hear it.
Well,
I don't want to hear it. Hear that? See that? Just when you think you can trust again.
I was never going to say anything, but since you brought that up.
Just when you think you can trust again, I find out that she's talking about me behind my back. Good looking out, cat. Jennifer Bottomer says, lurker, but I need you all today. I would like you to lie, yes. For future references, don't tell me my cat is talking bad about me behind my back. Will Squirrel ever get a boyfriend? There's been some talk. There is some talk.
It would certainly stop all the chatter she's saying.
I love this. My sister's cat sits on the back of the couch when I video chat with her. Shows up as soon as and hears my voice. Wants to get in on the chat. I love that. They're such unique animals. My cat will come to me every time I call her too, without fail. Doesn't matter where I am. If I call Squirrel Nut, she is there. She's got issues in her life and things that drive you nuts. That's not one of them. If I call the cat shows up without fail. That one. In fact, she does that just about for anybody.
She does.
She's really, she definitely comes to her name. But this stuff at night, look at the look of guilt on her face.
We've got to get another cat.
You can tell she's feeling guilty. Look at her.
Yeah, sure she is. Add up with it.
Are you feeling guilty?
She's riddled with it.
She wants out. All right.
Her field is barren.
Love your content. The serious imagination and humor. Well, thank you. That's a very kind thing to say. If I've never said welcome to the boat, welcome to the boat. And you know what? to the person last night who was just so damn mean. We don't do cruel here, people. We're never going to do cruel. We're never going to take joy in someone else's suffering. You do that, I promise I will kick you off this boat, and I'll do it with joy. Everybody have a fantastic day, and we will see you on the next one. Calhoun, you going to say hello? Have you let your hair down? Have you let your hair down, Calhouni?
Yeah, I need to wash it, so I'm trying to
Your
like
son
keep
is,
it from getting crazy tangled before I do.
We're not getting any Calhoun today. All right, people. I will be seeing each and every one of you. Yes, mean people suck. It is one of our rules here. Who? Just give me her name. We're going to, you know what? That would be cruel. I'd like to, but I'm not going to do it. All right, everyone. Big love. We'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.